Hi, good evening. Good evening to our OFWs in Singapore and to our families and friends here and back in the Philippines and those all over the world who are joining us tonight. We hope everyone is staying healthy and keeping safe. I am Minerva Lau, your moderator today and the current treasurer of Philippine Bayanihan Society, Singapore. Welcome to our sixth Bayanihan Talks webinar series. Tonight, we shall learn more about Philippine Treasury bonds, which the Philippine government has recently announced and issued. And we will also learn more about fixed income or bonds and other varieties of financial instruments in which we can invest, or what are the opportunities to invest in financial markets. Also, more importantly, we'll also learn more about scams. A lot of people are becoming victims of scams during this pandemic period. So please watch and listen later when our guest speaker or favorite speaker will be on the floor later. But before that, let me welcome Attorney Ranveer, our Honorary President of the Philippine Bayanihan Society, to discuss more about our society and among other things. So, Attorney Ranveer, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Minnie. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In particular, I'd like to welcome all the officials from the Embassy of the Philippines in Singapore, my fellow board members of the Philippine Bayanihan Society, and of course, all the members of the audience who have logged in and hearing us for this sixth Bayanihan talk on the webinar series. So let me just give you an introduction of the Bayanihan Society and what it does. So the Philippine Bayanihan Society, which is based in Singapore, is a charitable body. It is a manifestation of the close relationship between the governments of the Philippines and of Singapore. As a result of understanding reached between the two governments, this society was formed in the year 2001. It was inaugurated by the then President, Mrs. Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, and it actually provides a platform for educational, social, and cultural activities for Filipinos as well as non-Filipinos in Singapore, particularly those who are interested to get to know about Philippines culture and social issues. We work very closely with the embassy because we are really a creation of the Embassy of the Philippines in Singapore. And we operate from a physical property, which is called the Bayanihan Center, and which is located at 43 Pasir Panjang Road. What has Bayanihan Center been doing? It is essentially a home for the Filipinos who are in Singapore. So that includes all the household service workers. We have also provide a center for the Ateneo alumni who have been holding courses over the last few years on very interesting topics of leadership, social and social entrepreneurship. We have a Tambayan room, as a clubhouse for Filipinos to gather and to meet and to discuss matters of common interest. We also have specialized rooms, for example, meeting rooms. We have a photo studio, which has been specially built for people who are interested in photography. So you can see on the screen some of the activities that we've been doing and the people who have attended. So essentially, we have been holding a very wide range of courses in the Bayanihan Center, and it caters to as much of the audience as possible. It is an all-inclusive body. It invites people from all sectors who wants to join and in our courses. So everybody is included. Everybody is able to attend the courses. We have kept prices of the courses at a very low level, so you probably cannot find anywhere else in Singapore, courses at that kind of price level. So it's very affordable, and everybody is welcome to join us for the courses. Over the years, since we started, we have around 14,000 people who have graduated from all the courses that we have been conducting. However, as a result of the Bayanihan of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have not been able to do some of these causes. For example, we were holding annually the Bayanihan Walk. There was an annual event to galvanize people from all the different cultural groups, from all the different Philcom groups, and also to raise funds for our center. Last year, we inaugurated the Bayanihan Lecture, patterned after the Singapore lecture series. So that was held in a normal way in an auditorium with physical attendance. But this year, we will have to organize it virtually, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a while. So unfortunately for this year, we couldn't hold a Bayanihan Walk. And we have also been holding Bayanihan Talks series. But with the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, we have then switched to the virtual platform so as to continue with our engagement with the audience and keep in touch, and at the same time share knowledge and experience with as many people as possible. One of the advantages that we have found on the virtual platform is that we are able to reach out to a larger group of audience, not only in Singapore, but also outside Singapore. So for example, we have registrants from Philippines, from the Middle East, who have logged into our webinar, Bayanihan Talk webinar series, and they're all very much welcome, and we're quite happy that that is happening. So today we are actually very fortunate to have a very interesting speaker with a very interesting topic, which is of topical interest, and I'm sure you will learn quite a bit after hearing this, and there'll be and you'll find information very useful. Now, turning to the Bayanihan lecture, which I just mentioned briefly just now, the Biennial lecture, as I mentioned earlier, we hold it annually. Last year was the first one, unlike the Biennial Talks, which we are attending today, that's being held on a fortnightly basis. So our Biennial lecture for this year will be held at the end of this month on the 30th of August, which is a Sunday in the afternoon. More details of this will be circulated soon, and we of course invite you to register for the lecture. It's free, so you can attend the lecture and hear what our keynote speakers and other speakers will have to share with us. Now, the Bayanihan Society is actually managed by volunteers. So my fellow board members and the staff members are all volunteers. We really appreciate the effort they have put in. And well, sorry, the staff are the only paid people, but the rest of the board members are all volunteers. So all these things that we are doing are a result of mainly by the volunteers and our 2 staff members. So we hope that you will support our activities, and we also hope that you can volunteer your services. If you like to volunteer, you're welcome to contact us, and then we can try and sort of see what you can do in the and in which aspect of our activities that your services will be helpful and useful. And certainly we would like you to like our Facebook page, so that at least that will give us some mileage. And also we will urge you to donate to our activities. You are free to build. More details of this will be given to you in subsequent screens where you can donate online, and we really appreciate your support, and we hope that you continue to support our activities. So thank you. On that brief note, I'll turn over to the moderator for her to take you through to the next phase of the program. Thank you. Over to you, Minnie.
Hi, sorry, I was on mute. Thank you so much, Attorney Ranveer, for that. I hope everyone would be interested to help us at Bayanihan Society and at Bayanihan Center, our own 4-story building. And the next speaker, sort of giving us some nice welcoming remarks, would be someone from the Philippine Embassy in Singapore. He is the first Secretary and Consul for Economics, Philcom, and Administration. I should give now the floor to Mr. Anthony Reyes.
Thank you for that, Minnie. Magandang gabi po mga kababayan. Ako po ay si Anthony Reyes at ako po ay isang consul sa Embahada ng Pilipinas sa Singapore. On behalf of Ambassador Joseph Del Maria, the Ambassador of the Philippines to Singapore, I would like to welcome everyone to tonight's Bayanihan Talk webinar on safeguarding our finances in time of pandemic. Finances po, hindi fiancés. Our speaker, Ms. Cristy Vicentina, is a respected subject matter expert on and strong advocate of promoting financial literacy among our kababayans. She is a banker, but a banker who has a very sincere and honest desire to improve the lives of kababayans by helping them grow their wealth and finances. We overseas Filipinos have temporarily left our country and even our family and loved ones for one common interest and goal, which is to build up our financial assets and resources in order to make a better life for our family. However, unforeseen events and unexpected hardships such as this COVID-19 pandemic and the implications that they bring force us to dig into our savings, as I am also digging into my personal savings and reserves, so in order to support my mom back home. So I would like to thank Cristy for volunteering to speak on this topic, which is a very important concern for us for all of us overseas Filipinos. With that, I'd like to give the screen back to Minnie. Thanks for this honor to welcome you all. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Ambassador Yap and the officers and staff of the Philippine Embassy in Singapore hope that everyone keeps safe and well. Good night po.
Thank you. Thank you, Consul Tony. My apologies. I keep forgetting to unmute myself, but thank you so much again. And again, I would also like to say welcome Ambassador Joseph Yap and the staff of the Philippine Embassy who are joining us tonight. We always appreciate that we have this support from the Philippine Embassy, and I hope big support from the OFWs in Singapore as well. So before we proceed, I would like to introduce our speaker. I think everyone knows her. She's been with the Philippine National Bank, almost like Philippine National Bank is equal to Miss Cristy Vicentina. So if you still don't know her, let me say she's been with the bank for how many years now? More than 25 years with the bank as a treasury trader in Manila, treasury chief dealer of the Singapore office, Singapore branch. And now she's heading the branch as well as she's the region head for Asia and Oceania. So we've got a big shot going to speak to us, and it's her expertise. So we are really delighted to have her talking to us about these treasury bonds and other financial matters. She's a certified money market and foreign exchange trader. I assume she made a lot of money for the bank during those days. She's a licensed mathematics teacher. Oh, don't play around with numbers. And certified compliance professional by the International Academy of Business and Financial Management. She has co-authored for mathematics textbooks for secondary education titled Generation X, Y, how about the Z generation? But anyway, that I'm sure that must have been a very interesting book. And she also had more than 12 years of committed service with the University of the Philippines as a senior lecturer for quantitative techniques in business management and managerial finance, among others. Mukhang complex and complicated, but I think she'll be able to talk to us in a very simple way and everyone will be able to understand what those things are. So without further ado, Cristy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Minnie. Oh, wait. Siyempre, yung ano ko, meron siyang lag time. I don't see if you can see me yet. But good evening po ulit to our fellow OFWs. Can you see me? Time out po ah. Yan. Okay na po ba? Ed, can you give me feedback if it's okay?
We can't see you yet.
Aha. Kanina nag-practice naman po kami ng konti. Naglalag lang po. Wala siya. Time out lang po ng konti.
The slide is up.
Okay. Just 1 minute. Wala. Wala kami.
Si Cristy po, if you don't know, she's been with Bayanihan Society for 10 years na siguro, no? I'm not quite long, huh, Cristy?
Yeah, I've been with the Philippine Bayanihan Society since 2008, I think.
Oh, wow.
So more than 10 years. So again, ayan, ready na po kami. Totoo na po ito. Good evening again to our fellow OFWs in Singapore and of course our family and friends back home. To start, allow me first to read my disclaimer. Ed? This presentation is intended for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional, financial, or legal advice. And of course, this is not a presentation intended for to solicit for the bank. And the opinions expressed in this presentation and on the succeeding slides are solely those of the presenter and not necessarily those of PNB. And some of the materials used in the following slides are publicly sourced and are shared here for educational purposes only. And to our dear attendees, you should note that this session is audio recorded and may be shared in different media platforms without further notice. So with that, again, magandang gabi po, and we can go to the next. For tonight, I have divided the session into two. First, of course, to how to maximize our finances. And the next half is how to preserve our finances from scams. Okay. In March 2009, at Mandarin Hotel, about 6 months after the then infamous 2008 financial crisis, if you remember, I was confident then when I told the League of Corporate Treasurers for a global event, when I told them it's time to buy. On hindsight, of course, I was right that it was then time to buy. But tonight, 8 months into the pandemic or 8 months into this health crisis, I wish I can tell that it's time to buy and this is over. But of course, we all know that it's not. So the name of the game in this coming season will be to preserve our finances, or to make ourselves as much as possible as liquid as possible, or by liquid we mean to have access to cash. This is a time where cash is really king. So moving forward, there are different types of investments, financial investment opportunities that we can check. Okay, next, and so we have debt securities, where the government securities are included. We have equities, of course, or these are the stock markets, pre-need plans, or sometimes this is commonly known as your insurance. Raise your hands pag medyo mabilis po. Meron pong raise hand dyan para i-caution ako ng moderator. Okay, and then of course we have the real estate investments. These are the condo or for rental properties, or even the landed for the Filipinos. And then business ventures or managed funds. Okay, but in this time of a different scenario or different crisis, a health crisis or what we call a pandemic, and it's unprecedented in that matter, and it's a global one. So as I've said a while ago, the name of the game here is to be as liquid as possible, because we don't know yet when will be the the end. So which among this type of investment will be ideal during this pandemic? So if I may share, the most ideal one is one that is secured and one that is you can easily liquidate. So among them will be the top one, or the debt securities or the government securities, because as the treasurer in our last session shared and ambassador have shared in the last session, these are issued by the national government, so they are guaranteed by the national government, so they are basically risk-free. Pag wala na pong pera yung national government, wala na rin po tayong pera. Ganun po yun. Okay. So hindi po pwedeng malugi yung national government. So we will try to look at this government securities and I will try to expound the discussion in the last session. So among this, the government securities that we have are T-bills and RTBs, or the retail treasury bonds. Next. Now, what are the difference between T-bills and retail treasury bonds? Basically, the difference is in terms of tenor. The treasury bills are short tenored instruments. So the longest is 1 year or 364 days. And then they are issued in 91, 182, and 364 days. So it's a short-term investment. While the RTBs, or the retail treasury bonds, ito po yung diniscuss natin in the last session. If you joined us last session, the retail treasury bonds are medium to long term. So usually these are 2 to 25 years. And then the other major difference is the T-bills are sold at a discount. If you have been in Singapore for quite a while, madali na pong intindihin yung concept of discount. I hope wala namang spokening dollar, no? So pwede akong mag-Tagalog. Ranbir is there. Sorry, Ranbir. If you've been in Singapore, the concept of discount is something that you can readily grasp already, because everywhere you go in the mall, every store you go, you will see sale or discount. So the concept of discount is that you pay something less than what is the real value of the item that you're buying. So the same thing in the financial instrument. The T-bills are sold at a discount, so we pay less at the beginning of the tenor, and we get the true value at the end of the tenor. Versus a retail treasury bonds, the retail treasury bonds, you are paid in terms of interest, but they are called coupon. Dun sa kabila, it's called the discount value, and dun sa kabila, it's called coupon. A little bit of trivia, why are they called coupon? Pinapahirapan lang tayo para kunwari complicated yung discussion. Okay, so this is for the financial people, of course. But they are called coupons because in the old days, when they issue the retail bonds or the bonds, they're issued in a certificate form. What do you call this? Parang it's like your diploma. So you have the certificate, or it's like your land title where you have your name and all the details thereat. And then at the back, there's an attachment. If it is a 10-year bond and it's a semi-annual coupon, you will have 2 times 10, 20 pieces that are attached at the back of the certificate, and they are actually, you can perforate them. So every time you collect the interest, you go to the bank and you surrender one of the pieces of paper. So it's literally a coupon. And through time, of course, it was named or called, the interest is called coupon payment. And nowadays, of course, we all know wala na pong papel, so everything is scriptless and paperless. So we don't see those physical coupon anymore. Okay, next, how do we earn from these government securities? Next, Ed. So how do we earn from government securities? From treasury bills, as I've shared a while ago, we earn by discount. Let me illustrate this one using a real bills that is available in the market that we computed last July 30, for example. Now, for example, for purposes of easy illustration, we choose 100,000. So for 100,000 with an interest rate of 1.55 or 1.55, by the way, in the Philippines, all interest rates are subject to 20% withholding tax. Of course, in Singapore, if you have been in Singapore for quite a while, we don't pay withholding tax for investments. But in the Philippines, if it is investment in the Philippines, it's subject to 20% withholding tax. So for 1.55, the net rate will be 1.24. So, for example, we choose 177 days, and if we want to receive 100,000 after 6 months, we have to invest today. We have to place an amount of 99,394. So the difference of 606 represents the interest income. Now, the good thing about treasury bills is because the interest of, say, for this one, the 606 interest is paid in advance. So on day one, you receive your interest already. Now, that same amount of interest can be reinvested already. So if you want to go in after this discussion, if you want to go to your bank and wanted to place a T-bills, you can actually do maximization. That means, pati po yung interest that we earned, we will reinvest them. So there's such thing as a term in the Philippines to maximize the investment. Okay, next. And then versus the retail treasury bonds, how does the retail treasury bonds earn? Now, the retail treasury bonds, as I've shared a while ago, it's paid by a coupon. For example, we took the illustration from the previous presentation of RTB 24. If, example, we buy 100,000 and with a quoted interest rate of 2.625, that will be a net interest of 2.10, subject to 20% withholding tax, and the frequency of coupon payment is quarterly. How do we compute for the interest payment? So the interest payment will be PRT. So yung mga gustong makarinig ng math, principal times rate times time. It's a simple interest rate computation. So you have yung 100,000 times rate of 2.1 times time of 1 year. So that will be 2,100. And then we will just divide that into 4 because it's quarterly payment. So we will have 525 for every quarter that will be paid to you. Now, for this case, because it's a primary offering, ang primary offering po, ibig sabihin, first time na ilo-launch. So if you're buying from a primary offering, they are definitely selling at par. Ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng selling at par? Ibig sabihin lang nun is, whatever amount you pay on day one, okay? For example, this example, we pay 100,000 on day one or issue date. We will receive the same amount on maturity date. So 100,000 sa maturity date after 5 years, 100,000 of the amount that we paid on day one. And between day one and the 5 years maturity, you will get the coupon every quarter of 525. Now, what happens in the secondary market? In the kunwari, kailan nga ba yung auction nito? Ang auction nito is up to tomorrow. Okay? So, for example, naiwan tayo until tomorrow, we were not able to place our investment, we can still catch up in the secondary market. Now, how does the retail treasury bonds are sold in the secondary market? They can be sold either at par or at a discount or at a premium. Now, let us try to understand when are they sold at par, discount, and premium. They are sold at par, ibig sabihin, yung amount na in-invest mo, yun din yung maturity amount, and then in the middle, you receive interest in the form of coupons. Now, they are selling at par if the coupon rate, there are two rates that are involved here. The coupon rates, yung pinipiraso kanina sa kwento natin, the coupon rates, which is, for this example, 2.625, and the market rate. If you joined us in the previous session, you will remember that the treasurer told us that the 2.625 is the current market rate. It's the representation of what is the real thing that is happening in the economy. Part of the composition of an interest rate formulation, of course, is our consumer price index. So bakit ang baba ng interest rate? That's something that you can wonder. This is a pandemic, this is a crisis. So you just go back to your personal situation. If I have some money with me, nagsha-shopping po ba tayo? Or do we go to the malls? First, naka-lockdown iha, so walang malls. So definitely, kukonti yung purchases natin. And definitely, the price index will be lower. That's why, that's an indicator already that the rate will be lower. Now, There are two rates, as I've said, the coupon rate and the market rate. So if the market rate and coupon rate are the same, they will be the same if it is issuance date. Because I'm issuing the bond now, which has a coupon of 2.625, pretty sure the market rate is also 2.625. So it's being sold at par. When will it be sold at a discount? For example, after 1 year, say in July next year, if the rate goes up, for example, say the rate goes up to 5%. For purposes of illustration, the rate goes up to 5%. You bought a bond last year, okay, at 2.625. Would you like to place your money or bet your money in the current rate of 5%, or you want to place your money in that bonds that pays 2.625? Taas ang kamay nung gustong mag-place dun sa 2.625. I'm sure walang nagtaas ng kamay sa inyo. So, most likely, gusto natin makapag-place tayo with the 5%. Now, if everyone wants to place in the 5% and no one wants to place in the 2.625%, remember, the number of shares that are floated or the number of amount that was released in the market is fixed. So, hindi na po natin pwedeng dagdagan. So, this is a simple case of law of supply and demand. If a lot of people wants to buy the 5% and no one wants to buy the 6.25%, and if you're the holder of the 6.25%, what would you like to do with your investment? You want to unload and ride the rising rate. Tama po ba? So, in that case, paano ko ibebenta kung lahat ng tao ayaw itong bilhin? So most likely, you will put a discount. So in that simple concept, this bond will be sold at a discount. But of course, the mathematical concept of it is that this is a cash flow. Yung binibili mo po is an instrument that has a fixed cash flow. Remember, this is an agreement that you will hold this bond for 5 years, and the BTR or Bureau of Treasury will pay you a coupon rates for the rest of 5 years. So that commitment is what you're selling. Now, since there is an inherent cash flow there to indicate or to find the price or the selling price for this bond, we have to get the present value of all this cash flow. And when we do so using the current market rate, the value that we will arrive will definitely be lower than the 100,000. And vice versa. The other way around, for example, if next year, after a year, bumaba naman yung interest rate, say naging 1% na lang yung interest rate, would you like to keep the bonds that you bought at 2.625, or would you like to sell it and go to the 1%? Taas kamay ang gustong i-hold yung 2.625. I hope lahat po tayo nagtaas ng kamay na gusto natin yung 2.625. Those who are on Facebook, you can also raise your hands. I can see you from here. So, para po kasama tayo. Okay? So, dahil lahat tayo gusto yung 2.625 and no one wants to go to the 1%, what will happen? Everyone wants to buy the 2.625. So, kayo naman na may hawak ng 2.625, you don't want to sell it. Para ka makabili, you will put a premium. So again, it's a law of supply and demand. But again, the mathematics of it is when you discount the cash flow using the 1%, it will be actually less. Okay? So yun po yung concept kung bakit meron kang premium or discount. Now, how do you make money from it? You make money from it. For example, this investment, kung nakapag-invest po tayo ngayon and we paid 100,000, and next time or after a year, naging premium siya or bumaba yung rate. Naging 1%. So your bond will be selling at a premium. You will get a chance to make additional income by selling it and get the difference. The difference will be, ang binayad natin 100,000. Kung ang premium niya, umabot na siya ng 105, if it is 1%, the premium will be around 105,000. So you get additional 5,000 there. Pero, paano naman kung after a year, the other one, naging 5% yung interest, ano mangyayari? Di ba parang lugi ako? That's why they are called fixed income instruments. you can hold them to maturity, kukunin mo yung coupon. So meron ka lang option na kung gusto mong mag-take advantage, kung may available na capital gains, you can take advantage of that if there is an available one. Next, Ed. Later na lang po yung question nyo pag meron po kayong tanong. So the next one, of course, as I've shared a while ago, we will divide the time into maximizing our returns. And of course, lagi ko pong sinasabi ito in all my talks. Always remember, why did we go overseas? Why did we choose to leave the family back home and choose to work abroad and sacrifice our time to be away with the family? One of the reasons that we move is to save more, because there's better opportunity here, and of course it pays more, and to have to speed up our saving. Pero sabi ko nga po lagi, even if we don't save, even if you spend all the hard-earned money that you accumulated, it's okay as long as you don't pay to a scammer. Kahit hindi po tayo mag-save, wag lang tayo magpa-scam. Okay? If you have seen, what is scam ba? Scam is actually it's a multi-billion-dollar investment or industry that is the only one growing, and it's growing by more than 50% in time of pandemic. There's no better industry than that. Wala pa po ako nakikita na nag-grow ng 54% during this pandemic. Nahihirapan nga po tayo, di ba? Ang daming nawawalan ng trabaho. Dito, marami. So, let us not put our money there. Okay? Now, if you have seen some of these slides, these are personal collection that I have encountered through time. And some of them, we source them from scamalert.sg. You can visit their website. Now, this one is very familiar. Taas kamay ang nakakita na ng call na metatak DBS. Everyone knows who DBS, and everyone knows that logo. So when you see that logo and you see that call, you instantly recall that, oh, your bank is calling you. But if you take a very good look at it, the number is plus 92307. So hindi po yan Singapore. We all know that this is a Singapore bank. But the number is actually plus 92. I don't know where is plus 92. Kung nandyan po kayo, you can actually help me Google kung anong country ba yung plus 92. And you can do that habit na you look for the country code of 92 kung saan yan. And you will realize, hindi po yan Singapore. Plus, nowadays, yung Singapore, meron na po siya na pag nakakita kayo ng, if you see a plus sign before the number, definitely that is not coming from Singapore. But the scammers are also good. They're using plus 65 and a number. As long as you see a plus number before your number, it's not coming from Singapore. So that's the key. Now, the other one is, let me walk you through with the last one, the one that says, we sent you a reminder regarding your item, Lazada 03. When I received this, I know this is a scam. Why? I don't have a Lazada account. I don't have, ano tawag doon? Wala akong delivery. Tinola lang po ang kinakain ko from the rest of the pandemic. I don't even deliver food. So, wala akong Lazada. The other one is, if you have a Lazada and you receive this, you pretty sure should identify that this is a scam. Why? If you did not join any raffle draw, don't expect to win. So, kung wala po tayong binayaran, wala tayong ginoin, hindi po tayo mananalo. Now, the idea here, if you click that link, it will end up to asking you some of your personal details, including your bank account details, and that they will ask you where to credit the amounts or funds that you want, etc. Okay, so next. Now, allow me to walk you through or share you this video. This is quite an old one, but the fact that this one is still circulating nowadays and this one is still ongoing nowadays, that means marami pa po yung natatrap with this kind of scam. Okay, later on, magre-review tayo. Spare me your 3 minutes, but if you have seen this video, that means you're following also. Thank you, Ed. You can present.
Pangarap ni Erica na makapangasawa ng isang foreigner at sa isang online dating site na develop siya sa isang nagpakilalang Remy Macker na seaman daw mula Amerika. Nakumbinsi siya na ibigay ang kanyang mga personal information sa foreigner dahil may ipadadala raw itong package na naglalaman ng electronic devices, gadgets, alahas, sariwang bulaklak, bags at chocolates. Tumawag ang isang nagpakilalang taga-cargo service kay Erica at sinabi na dumating na raw ang kanyang padala.
May babayaran daw ako ng 30,000 para sa custom tax clearance.
Buong tiwalang naghulog si Erica ng 13,000 pesos sa account ng isang Daisy de Guzman Valencia sa isang money remittance center. Inakala ni Erica na makukuha na niya ang padala pero muling nag-text sa kanya ang nagpakilalang taga-cargo service at sinabi na kailangan niyang magbayad ng 35,000 pesos para sa anti-money laundering clearance dahil may nakita raw na higit 1.3 million pesos na pera sa loob ng package.
Kung hindi ko daw yun babayaran yung 35,000, makukulong daw ako.
Noong araw ding yon, nangutang sa 5-6 si Erica at naihulog ang 35,000 pesos sa account ni Daisy Valencia. Matapos nito, muli siyang hininga ng 17,000 pesos para naman daw sa NBI at anti-terrorism clearance. Nagpadala si Erica sa account naman ni Riza Montemayor. Pero nang muling hiniritan si Erica ng panibagong 38,000 pesos para raw ba i-release na ang kanyang package, dito na siya nagduda na sindikato ang kanyang kausap kaya humingi na siya ng tulong sa pulisa at ikinasa ang isang entrapment operation. Inutusan si Erica ng suspect na ihulog ang pera sa account ng isang Kimberly Cruz. Sa kuha ng CCTV, pumunta si Cruz sa money remittance center na ito sa Parañaque para mag-claim pero wala siyang kaalam-alam na nakalock sa sistema ang padala kaya wala siyang ma-encash na pera. Hindi lang nakapaghintay ang suspect na agad umalis kaya di siya naabutan ng mga pulis. Pero tinext pa rin si Erica ng sindikato na ipa-unlock sa system ang kanyang padala at ihulog muli sa pangalan ni Riza Montemayor. Sa branch na ito ng Money Remittance Center sa Pasay, nasukol ng mga pulis si Riza Montemayor habang hinihintay na ma-encash ang padala.
Inutos nga po sa akin, actually inaabutan lang naman po ako nung kaibigan ko ng 300, 400 tuwing may kukunin po akong pera.
Bagamat malakas ang kaso laban kay Montemayor, nadismaya ang pulisya dahil pumayag na makipag-areglo si Erica sa suspect.
Nakakapanghinayang doon sa pagod na inuukol ng ating mga tauhan dito sa Las Piñas.
Bukod kina Kimberly Cruz at Riza Montemayor, inilabas na rin ng pulisya ang litrato ni Daisy Valencia na 2 beses na nag-encash ng padala ni Erica. Ngayong nabunyag na ang modus operandi na Love You Honey scam, umaasa ang pulisya na matatauhan na ang publiko na wag nang kumagat para hindi mahulog sa bitag ng kanilang panloloko. Dominic Albelor, ABS-CBN News.
Okay, let's review a little of that video. Ano bang tawag sa scam na to? Love You Honey scam, or this is the love scam? Okay, this is very, very popular for quite a while already. But even nowadays, in the latter part of this discussion, I have collated a lot of reading materials and videos for you to watch and take away from here. But until now, even in other countries, wag po kayong masad na it's happening in the Philippines. I just picked this video because it's from Manila. But in other countries, in a lot of countries, this is also happening. And in other countries, the biggest that I've seen is $1 million. And it's from an Australian lady. Okay, so this love scam is it doesn't happen overnight or over a week. Usually this happens in a long period of time until they get your trust. And believe me, don't ever start. You can actually start the conversation, but the moment that they ask money from you, stop. That is your red flag. Even if the amount, and usually they will not ask you $1 million because you will not give $1 million. They will not ask you $100,000. You will not give $100,000. They will ask you a very, very small amount that you will be tempted to say, oh, it's a small amount. It's okay. I can spare it. But the moment that you put your amount, even if it's as small as 100 pesos, they know that they can actually, or they have actually entrapped you. Why? They have all your details already, and they can actually threaten you that in the succeeding discussion, if you will not pay the amount that they're asking, they will threaten you that they have your details, and they will report you that they are part of a money laundering team, etc. And they already know that you're susceptible, so they can actually win you again to put a bigger amount and then a bigger amount. So ganun po yung That's how it works. Now, the other worst situation of a love you honey scam is if you're the one receiving money. Sabi ko po kanina, okay na, you spend all your money, wag lang kayong ma-scam and do not pay a scammer. But there's a derivative of this. The derivative of this is you're the one receiving money. So parang, oh, it's okay, I'm the one receiving money. This was popular in Singapore. It was popular about 2 to 3 years ago. But still, there are a lot more happening up to this time. But it's quite popular nowadays in other countries. The modus operandi is they befriend you, so they become your boyfriend or girlfriend in social media, and then up to a point you wanted to plan for the future already, so he will give you money to start a business. They know that if you're in Singapore, most likely your pass is an employment pass, work pass, S pass, ano pa ba? Dependent pass. So you're not allowed to do multiple employment, or you're not allowed to put up a business because of your pass. So they know that already. They have researched that, I'm pretty sure. So what is the most popular one is they will send you money so that you can put up a business for the future. Para pag nagpakasal tayo, may negosyo na tayo. O, di ba? Perfect, di ba yan? Now, the answer that they will get from you, most likely, 90% of the time, is that you cannot do the investment. Now, they always have a perfect solution for every excuses that you can think of. Now, the excuse will be, if you cannot run the business, we will call a friend that will run the business, and they will ask you to give the money, a substantial amount of the money, to a friend. So that becomes already laundering or money laundering. If it is a money laundering, that is, you accepted funds and then you transfer it to another account or you give it to another person, what happens is money laundering is punishable by, it's a crime and it's punishable by imprisonment. So pwede po tayong makulong. I know personally some people that I met in Singapore who ended up in jail because they receive funds. During the time na trending yung money laundering in Singapore, I received calls because they thought I'm working with Philippine Embassy because I'm always with the Philippine Bayanihan Society, and they will call what will they do because they receive money and they want the sender wants them to pass the money to a person that they will meet at the airport. Meron pong mga ganun na calls that I received. What I did is I passed them through to the OWA then, the previous OWA, and they helped him out. But I told them, it's the middle of the night, it's like 10 o'clock. So I told them, just stay at home. If you're afraid to go to the police and report, because you will be afraid to go to the police. What if the police hold me because I'm holding a money from money laundered money? So they're also afraid. So that's why we put them to the Philippine Embassy. If you're not sure, you can always call the Philippine Embassy and they will be able to help us. Or later on, I will flash on the screen saan po tayo tatawag pagka napunta tayo sa ganitong situation. Okay, and as I've said a while ago, this is a multi-billion industry, and it's growing very, very fast. A lot better than the all performing industry because in this case, sabi nga niya, after they did all the entrapment, it ends up, anong tawag mo doon? Nag-areglo lang tayo. Usually, the victim do not pursue the case, because it's a lot of hassle, it's also a lot of resources and time on your part. So usually the perpetrators are not punished, or they don't end up in jail at all. Or even if they end up in jail at all, I think the punishment is like hindi siya lifetime imprisonment or hindi siya death penalty, wala siyang ganon. So wala siyang mabigat na punishment. That's why the people, they're okay to start all over again and scam you again. Okay, next. Now let us see. That is in the Philippines. Now, let us see what is happening in Singapore. Now, this is a first world country, and it's a country of 5 million people, and it's a country of 5 million educated people, and 5 million smart people, and it's a smart nation. So let us see what is happening in Singapore. Next, Ed, these are the top 5 scams in Singapore. So you have cheating involving e-commerce. So ito po yung online shopping scam. So sino yung mga top performers sa online shopping scam? You have, for your tickets, you have Universal Studio, USS. And then for electronics, nandyan po yung Nintendo Switch and Apple phone, of course. And then, which are the platforms that are popular for this scam? So ito yung scam na they will trick you to buy something online when in fact there's no goods that will be delivered to you. Now, the most famous platform, of course, this is Singapore concept or this is Singapore numbers, Carousel. So, sino po nakakaalam ng Carousel at sino may account sa Carousel? Wala kasi akong account ng mga yan. Lahat ng mga yan, wala akong account. Okay? So, pag Carousel, ang trick sa Carousel is, of all the people that I encountered here that came to me, and ito po yung usual that happens at Carousel. They put the goods at Carousel, and then when you get interested, the moment that they bring the discussion outside of Carousel, that is, they will start speaking to you through WhatsApp, through text messages, through Facebook, or any other means that is not secured or that is not inside Carousel, don't buy. Don't proceed with your purchase. If you are inside the Carousel, the process is Carousel will only pay the amount to the seller once the buyer confirm that you have received your goods. So, meron kang protection. If you did not receive the goods at a specified time, meron kang refund option. But if you bring the discussion outside of this platform, definitely it's a scam. Always remember, if it is too good to be true, why will you agree to talk outside of the platform? Because they provided a very lucrative offer, a very good discount. So that's usually the case. Now, if it is too good to be true, definitely it's not true. So the basic rule in investment or in anything that we do, of course, if it is high return, it should be high risk. Now, if you see a high return and low risk, mag-isip po tayo. It's not true. So if it is high risk, it's high return. It's always worked that way. There's no other way for investment to work. Okay. Next, please. So the next one, candidate number 2 is loan scam. Sino po ang may kaibigan dito na alam nyo na loan scam? Sige po, taas kamay. Nag-report po ba kayo sa police? Most likely, hindi. Or sino sa inyo ang naka-receive ng tawag na you know it's a scam? Ini-scam ako nito. Minsan ginagawa natin, sige, pakikinggan lang kita, ini-scam mo lang ako. Sige, mag-ubusan tayo ng oras dito. But did you ever report it to the police? Taas kamay ng mga nag-report sa police. Okay. So, number 2 is loan scam. How does the loan scam work? So, there are different modus operandi for the loan scam. But the one thing that I have experienced in Singapore with a kababayan that went to the bank, they went to the bank asking if the bank has a salary loan because they have existing $10,000 loan. So $10,000 loan that they have been paying for several years. And when I add up all the payments that they made, they're more than 10,000 already. Okay? But as of the time I was speaking to them, the amount of their loan remains 10,000. So they actually received 10,000 as a loan. Mga ano naman po to, malalaki naman ang sweldo nila. Nagkaroon lang ng aberya or nagkaroon lang ng emergency. Now, they have been paying a certain amount for almost 3 years already, but the principal remains at 10,000. So I told them, may I see your receipts? Because in Singapore, it is required by law to put in the receipt how much is principal payment and how much will go to interest payment. So they brought their receipts. When I saw the receipts, it says, for example, they paid for a month, they paid $300. $200 goes to principal payment, $100 goes to interest payment. But at the end, it says balance. The balance remains 10,000. And they will ask you to sign on that receipt. So you're signing every single month, you're signing that your balance or your principal remains at 10,000. And you will perpetually, hanggang nandito ka, sinisingil ka ng $300 a month. Hindi na babawasan yung principal. So what will you do? So I asked them, you go to the police and report. But they're scared to go to the police because their pass is S-pass. Baka mapauwi sila, yung mga ganon. So meron kang mga ganon na takot or anong tawag mo? Fear. So I advised them that I actually connected them because we don't have salary loan product in Singapore. So I advised them, I actually connected them to back home so that they can secure a salary loan. So I advised them, if you don't want to go to the police because you're scared, but that's the only way to do it. You have to settle it right now so that it will stop. So eventually, na-stop naman po siya. Okay, so that's one of the loan scam. Now, there's another subtle loan scam in Lucky Plaza. Okay, so all the money lenders, that's also a form of, it's not a truthful lending. Because if you go to these money lenders, for example, they charge you 4%. Now, when they charge you 4%, that's not 4% per annum. It's 4% per year. Kung 4% po yan per year, how much, 4% per month, how much is that per year? 4% times 12, ilan po yun? That will be 48%. Plus, pag kinuha mo yung loan, you are required to pay 10% admin fee. So, 48 plus 10, 58% po ang interest per annum. But if you will ask them, what is your, that's only a nominal amount. Hindi pa po yan effective interest rate. So, kasi yung 10% binayad mo siya on day 1, di ba? So, it's higher than 58% yung effective interest rate mo. Can you imagine, 60% interest rate. Yung 5-6 nga po sa Pilipinas or the Bombay lending that we call 5-6, for every 5 that you borrow, you pay 6. That's only 20% per annum. And this one is charging you 60%, a hefty 60% per annum. How on earth can you repay a 60% per annum? And then, you're only required to repay it within 4 months. So what happens is, on the 3rd month, naghihirap na ako na bayaran kasi medyo konti yung sweldo. On the 3rd month, someone will call you. Someone will call you and offer you another loan. So most likely, you will take that loan because you have been cash-strapped for the last 3 months. And then, on next month, you will be paying 2 loans. And then on the next month again, someone will call you again and offer you another loan again because they have your IC already. And most of our kababayans or most of the people that we know, they end up with, some of them have 5 loans. Some of them have 6 loans, such that their monthly amortization is even bigger than their monthly salary. And most of them or some of them were actually sent back home because the money lender will threaten to report you to your employer. And usually the employer ended up paying so that it will be settled, but they will send you home also. So be wary of this kind. Usually they will text you. Marami po, sino po, taas kamay, yung naka-receive ng text na ganito, na if you want to borrow money, etc., interest, just WhatsApp so and so. Meron ding iba, sasabihin nila sa inyo, no interest. If you want to borrow money at no interest, but you will pay an administrative charges upfront. So kung nagbayad ka naman ng administrative charges, ang always na itatanong niyo po, if somebody is offering to lend you money, ask them what is the effective interest rate. If they cannot tell you the effective interest rate, do not borrow. Ibig sabihin, hindi nila alam computin. Kung lender ka, required po yan sa regulators to write the effective interest rate. So if they cannot provide it to you, please do not borrow. Next, Candidate number 3. Anong candidate number 3 natin? Credit for sex scam. Ito, medyo madali ito. Usually, mga target nito, older people, kasi they have more money already. And usually, they will offer you to offer you sex services, and they will ask you to pay in advance or give them gifts in advance, usually in forms of gift cards. So, ang number 1 platform dyan, you have Tinder, WeChat, I don't know what the WeChat, and hindi ko po alam kung ano yung iba, but Facebook is there. Okay, these are all sourced from the Scam Alert SG. Okay, so you have 1,065. Next, Ed. Of course, you have the famous internet love scam. Ito po yung pinresent natin kanina. Okay, so marami po yan. So sino ang candidate sa internet love scam? Of course, they are on Facebook and Instagram, and even LinkedIn. LinkedIn is intended for job hunting or employment, but even LinkedIn is already platform already for internet love scam. Internet love scam is a very long process. Some of them took one of the person that I know of that was scammed, she believed that this guy is her boyfriend for 3 years already. May may engagement na. Pero wala namang ring. Paano ka nakapag-engagement? Wala namang ring. May engagement mo na hindi pa tayo nagkikita. Okay, so red flags. Okay, and those are your top 5. Top 5. This is Singapore po. As I've said, this is a 5 million smart people, but still we have this much number of reported cases. Also, these are only reported cases. Hindi pa po kasama yung unreported cases dyan. And then, of course, the last one is social media impersonation scam. Medyo uso po ito ngayon. This is the in one. So, someone will call you and pretend that they're from Singpost, StarHub, or in other countries, they pretend to be from IRAS or their BIR, or they pretend to be from a court, what do you call this? Division, and they will tell you that you are being sued for this so and so that they can clean your name. You have to pay them a certain amount. Usually it's a small amount, but as I've said, they will always start with a small amount and they will progress to a bigger amounts until you are already stuck there. Okay, and the most famous of which nowadays also is the tech support scam. So they will call you and pretend that they are from Microsoft and that your computer has been hacked. So if you want to have it done, you have to share your share your screen or share your access to your computer. Don't ever share. Pag senior niyo po yun, parang binigay niyo na po ang lahat-lahat, pati kaluluwa ninyo. Okay. Now, what are the trending? These are in Singapore. Next, Ed. Now, these are the trending scam. As I've said, this is a multi-billion-dollar scam and it's growing. Why is it growing? Because they're also trendy and they're also up to date. So, when we had the COVID-19, they also have the COVID-19 scams. What are the COVID-19 scams? The most popular one is the medical supply scams. I know some of the investors here that bought a lot, and they were not scammed by hundreds of dollars. They were scammed by tens of thousands of Singapore dollars because they bought some cheaper supply of masks that were not delivered. Okay, next. So, yan po ang mga trending scams. Okay, the other one is health advisory scam. Okay, the health advisory scam works. They will send you messages like nasa list ka, etc. You need to provide your details. Now, it's a phishing. Anong tawag nito? It's a modus operandi for you to give away your personal details. So, the moment they start asking for your name or your what do you call this, bank account or any other information that you deem are sensitive, that they can access your funds, that's a red flag already. So no. And then of course, nowadays, meron tayong second authentication. You need your ano tawag mo ito? OTP. So, importante rin po yung cellphone natin at importante yung telephone number natin. Okay? Kaya, na-device na rin nila ang mga susunod na scam. Of course, because of the pandemic, they also have, next ed, the charity scam. Okay, so the charity scam, they will ask you, of course, to donate some money. So be careful also when we donate. We make sure that the organization that we donate to are registered. You can easily check naman po. You can check. Of course, they can also do fake anong tawag mo dito? Website that will make them appear like legitimate. So you have to learn where to check. Where do we check? So if it is a charitable organization, you can check with charity organization. You can check with ROS kung naka-register po sila doon. ROS is Registry of Society in Singapore. Okay. Next. Of course, ito po, sa Pilipinas ko po nakuha to. Ito yung trending sa Philippines nowadays. They call this the SIM upgrade scam. Why do they want your SIM? Of course, they wanted to have access from your OTP or the one-time PIN for your digital banking. Everyone is jumping into the digital banking because of the pandemic. You don't want to go, you cannot go to the bank. They are all, most of the time they are closed. So, what they did is, ito na ang bagong scam natin, trending scam, SIM upgrade. So, they will tell you that you can actually upgrade your SIM. Actually, they just wanted to get all the information in your old SIM. Next. Kung hindi pa po kayo nakontento with the SIM upgrade, they also do house-to-house in the Philippines. Okay? Some of them go to your house, as in face-to-face scamming. Medyo, ano na po ito, medyo aggressive scamming, face-to-face scamming. So they will come to your place or to your house and pretend that they are representative of a financial institution offering you some investment packages. Again, if it is too good to be true, it's not true. And definitely, the banks will not go house to house. In Singapore, of course, that's definitely prohibited. In the Philippines, it is still allowed for some cases. But if you did not make any arrangement with your bank, that your bank representative will go to your place, never open that door or open that wallet for them. Okay. So, hindi naman po pupunta yung bank to your house kung wala po kayong appointment. Promise. Marami po kaming trabaho sa loob ng bangko. Hindi na po kami magagawang lumabas. Okay. So, there are a lot more actually. There are hundreds more of different types of scam. Next, Ed. So, marami po ang listahan na yan. Okay? Hindi na po natin sila iisa-isahin. But enough that you understand that they can come up and they can devise of a lot of way to get money. Why? Because it's easy money. And again, the penalty for them if they are caught, most of the time, the victim ends up with, anong tawag na to? Forgiving them. Okay. Next. So I listed a lot of ways to protect ourselves. But to summarize this, again, the rule is if it is too good to be true, it's not true. The higher the return, the higher the risk. If that does not correlate, it's not true. So if they promise you to give you a huge return, an awesome return, but there's minimal risk to it, do not believe it. Okay? Remember, your gauge is you look at the treasury bills, you look at the retail treasury bonds. If the retail treasury bonds, that's already the national government of the Philippines is paying you 2.625, that means that's the ongoing market rate. If they're offering you 10% or 12% this time around, let's think twice. Okay? Especially if they will offer you, some of them offers you as much as 40% return. And usually, they will allow you to earn for 2 or 3 months. And they will actually return your money. If you remember Mado, Okay, paki-google nyo na lang po. That's one of the biggest scammer. What they do is, they borrow from Juan de la Cruz to pay Pedro or to pay Peter. So, ganun po yung ginagawa nila. So that they have actually amount to pay the new investors. And then, since you were able to recover your principal in the first few months, so you were made to believe that this is a real investment and it's really working, and you will now start telling your friends, oh, I have an investment that pays so much, and then you will roll over your money, and then you will top up if you put additional amount. That's the usual scenario until one day you will wake up that they're gone. So that's the usual modus operandi. Okay, next. So to summarize, okay, if you think, there's a new one. I think I've seen for the last 2 weeks. I have helped about 8 people in the office that comes here and ask, what happened if I give my account number and my name, but I did not give my PIN number? I asked them, where did you give your account number and name? They sent me a Facebook link of some items they are selling, or they won in a lottery. There are a lot of excuses for them to give your account number and your name. So, sabi ko sa kanya, if it is a Philippine account that you are holding, okay, most of the banks in the Philippines have 4 digits for their PIN. So if you only have 4 digits, how many combination are there for me to what do you call this? For me to hulaan. Anong hulaan? For me to pinpoint your PIN. Actually, I only need 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. Magkano po yung 10 times, 4 na 10 times 10 times 10? That's only 10,000 combination for me to actually identify your PIN. If they're using it in an ATM, for example, you lost your ATM card, you are only given 2 times. That's why the bank, that's a security feature of the bank. You're only given 2 times. On the 3rd attempt, your card will be black already. So it's because there are only four numbers in that PIN. And I only need 10,000 digits or 10,000 combination to identify your PIN for that. Again, the bank, the MOH or MOM, this is in Singapore, and even in Manila, we will not go to your place. We will not get your information, and neither will we call you. Hindi po kami tatawag sa inyo. Sobrang busy nga, di ba? Have you tried calling your bank, or have you tried calling MOM or MOH? No one will answer you there. Okay? Much less that they will call you one at a time. And in Singapore, meron po tayong Data Protection Act. So you can actually register your phone dun sa Do Not Call Registry. So kung hindi pa kayo naka-register doon, you can register your phone so that they cannot readily search your number. Okay? And never ever give money to someone you never met in person. And even if someone you met in person, if it is not legit, or if you doubt and if it is too good to be true, please close your wallet. I was asking the people who came here, Ma'am, when you were giving the account number, how many numbers do you have in your bank account number? I counted. There are 12 digits. When you're typing the 12 digits, that's 12 seconds. In that 12 seconds, you will be given time to think. Oops, why am I typing my account number? So that should give you an opportunity that, oops, parang na-scam ako. So when they came to us and asking what they can do, actually, they already know that they have been scammed. Because sabi nila sa akin, I realized after sending the account number. But during the time, that's a 12-second interval. So you can do this. Every time someone asks you for your account number, do not type fast. Paki-type nyo po isang kamay lang para matagal kayong naghihintay. Para ma-realize natin that there's something wrong with it. The other one is If they're offering you an investment that is so good, you can actually share with your friends. You ask your friends. Most likely, your friends have encountered that as well. Believe me, they're very, very good. Do not try to outsmart them also because they're quite good. I have my experience. I tried to outsmart them one time. They're calling my landline. And when they call my landline, the first thing I said that this is a scam, I told them, don't bother me. I'm Singaporean. I will report you to the police. And then after a while, they keep on calling and they told me, they're good. They're very, very good in their conversation. So they told me, do not engage the police because you might end up in trouble. Because if you engage the police and if the police will speak to the police in Malaysia, the person calling me is from Malaysia. If you engage the police in Singapore and they will call the police in Malaysia, you will be requested to appear in the police in Malaysia. Okay. So I tried to call actually a friend from the embassy. So I called a friend from the embassy and asked them, sir, do we have a repatriation treaty with Malaysia? And then the friend from embassy asked me, why are you asking? Because someone is calling me and trying to scam me. I just want to know if there's a repatriation treaty in Malaysia. So, of course, there is no repatriation treaty between Philippines and Malaysia. So, they cannot send me to Malaysia. The second time the scammer called, I told him, don't bother me. I already report. This is an end time. It's not really the second time. So the next time he called, I told him, it's about 12 o'clock already. I told him, don't bother me. I already reported you to the embassy. The moment I put back the phone, nagri-ring na siya ulit. It's ringing right away. And then they keep on calling me. They keep on calling me. But good enough, it was 12 o'clock. It's break. It's lunch break. So I need to go out of the office already. And then I realized, okay, in the morning, I told them on the start, don't bother me. I'm Singaporean. I will report you to the police. At 12 o'clock, I was telling them, I already reported you to the embassy. If I am a Singaporean, I don't have an embassy. So they already know. It's already a giveaway that I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm already I'm no longer in my core. So they can detect that easily. So don't try to outsmart them because we're not good at lying ourselves. Because we actually forget what we said to say an hour ago. But they were trained for this. They were trained. If you will see some of the videos that I have listed on the next slides, actually they work like a call center. Okay, next. So these are some of the reading materials that I have collated. We can share them to you and you can actually read them, or you can just Google scam. All of these reading materials will be there. Okay? So ang hobby ko na lang is magbasa ng scam. Next, Ed. And then I have collated, these are some of the interesting one that I have encountered. Okay? So you can take a look. And I love Jim Browning. I actually follow this guy. He tried to follow the scammers, and he tried to bust the scammers. He tried to hack the computers of the scammers, and he was good. He was able to hack even the cameras of the scammers, so he can actually see who is scamming at the other end. So you can watch him, you can follow. Just remember, you can forget everything. You just remember Jim Browning and Google Jim Browning and you will get all the insights. So again, sabi ko nga kanina, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry and it's growing because we're not reporting, because we're not doing our share. So let us unite and join us in the fight or fight for the war against scams. You can visit www.scamalert.sg and pledge as a volunteer. You can actually volunteer as an individual or volunteer as an organization. And if you feel you have been scammed, or even if you feel that someone is attempting to scam you, you can actually report to 1-800-722-6688. Ayan. Wala pong bayad yan. Kinuha ko lang po yan lahat from scamalert.sg. And I hope with that, hindi ko po kayo makikita dito at you will share na scam tayo. Okay, so thank you. Back to you, Minnie.
Hi. Thank you so much for that. That's a lot of scam stories. I can verify that Cristy had that kind of scam long ago about a package in Malaysia. Sinabi niya sa akin at that time, and I told her, ignore. But I think she was just so afraid na, ano ba yun, yung may something to do with, nakalimutan ko tuloy yung mga pass and all that. But
yeah, because the scammer was telling me that I have a parcel that came from UK, okay, and it was now in Malaysia, and it just needed a clearance to go to Malaysia. I know it's a scam because they told me there's $25,000 in the package. No one will send me $25,000. I know that, and I work in a bank. If they want to give me money, they can send to my account. They will not send it through a parcel. So I told them, if you want, you can return that parcel to the sender. But they told me they don't have the address of the sender. This is all the red flags. But what worries me is if indeed they are doing money laundering and they have my name there, or if they're sending someone to bring in a package that has money and my name is there, and my full name is there because my full name is in the website of the regulators, it's everywhere. It's in the directory of the bank. So they can get your full name. That's why they're calling in the landline. So I was suspecting they got the number through the directory of the financial institutions. So I'm worried if my name is in that scam modus operandi, and if I get reported to the MAS or the regulators, can you imagine? I'm the treasurer of the bank, and my name is in the parcel. That's why I know it's a scam, but I just don't want the thought of I will be part of a bigger story. Pero magagaling sila, as in magagaling sila. I have a friend who even flew to Malaysia to get it's supposed to be a business investment. And then what happens when they reach Malaysia, they were billeted in a very nice 5-star hotel. So you can guess ilan lang yung 5-star hotel. So they arrived on Thursday. By Friday, they were informed that, oops, the funds that were supposed to be invested to them did not arrive because it's a New York holiday. So he was quite smart. So he checked the calendar. Meron po kaming calendar. If you're working in a bank, we call it a tempus. So you can see all the holidays at a glance. So hindi pa uso ang i-Google mo. So when he checked, it's actually New York holiday. So he believed that it was New York holiday. That's why the funds did not came. But so they spend all the money. They live a luxurious lifestyle in Malaysia for 3 days. And then on the weekend, the scammer actually borrowed some funds because they're supposed to pay some other dealings. But because the money did not arrive, can they lend her? It's just a few amount. At the first beginning, it was only $600. And then the next day, it's $1,000. And then Monday, they disappear. So the friends ended up paying all the expenses in the 5-star hotel for several people, and that's $1,600. Just because you believe that it was indeed New York holiday.
Yes, it's
marami pa po, pero hindi tayo matatapos.
There were 2 types of discussion tonight that we had. So one was about the treasury bonds and fixed income. And then later on, the more sort of exciting is that the right adjective given, but you know, human life, about scams and what is happening to people who fall to those traps. May question lang ko first yung sa treasury bonds. Simpleng tanong lang, yung retail treasury bond at time deposit, what can you help us sort of explain what the difference is between the two? Kasi we are more familiar with time deposits, but maybe not so much on the retail bonds. Parang magkahawig eh. Fixed time, fixed interest or coupon. But yes, if you can help. Cristy.
Okay. Time deposit is the simplest form actually. So usually you go to these are investment already. The time deposit is a form of savings. Hindi po siya talaga classified as in the technical term for investment. These are the safest. Okay, if your money is in time deposit, it's covered by PDIC if it is in the Philippines. Okay, a PDIC is up to 500,000 pa ba ang PDIC? So it's insured by PDIC or PDIC, Philippine Depository Insurance Company. Now, how does a time deposit works? On day 1, you put your money, and then after 1 month, depende sa tenor, pwedeng ang tenor mo is 1 month, 2 months, or 1 year. Maximum tenor for a time deposit also is 1 year. So after the tenor, example, you choose 1 month. So you put your 100,000 today, we compute the interest. For example, the interest is 10%. So if you place 100 times 10% is 10. So at the end of 1 year, that should be 110. Pero since 30 days lang, so you divide that again by 4. You divide the 10 by 4, that will be 10 divided by 4, that will be 2.5. So after 1 month, you will get 12.5. Finish. And then if you want to roll over, you can roll over including interest or just your principal. That means after 1 month, you're free to take your money. In fact, the bank will return your money to you. But if you want to place them again, it's a new term. It's a new placement. Now, the beauty about time deposit is, in case of emergency, you can go to your bank and pre-terminate. You will get a penalty on the interest, but you will not get a penalty on the principal. So if you place 100,000 and after 15 days, there is an emergency, you can go to the bank, I want to withdraw my money. You can still get your 100,000, but the interest will be penalized. So you will not get the full amount as a result of pre-termination. And nowadays, back in Manila, meron silang tinatawag na doc stamps. So you have to pay the doc stamps also if you pre-terminate your deposit. But in essence, it's more liquid. It's safer up to a certain amount that is guaranteed by PDIC. Okay? And it's very, very, very liquid. Okay? Relatively near to cash na siya kasi cash in vault na siya halos. Nasa vault na siya ng bangko, parang gano'n. Cash in bank. Next to your cash in vault is your cash in bank. Okay? And then, against the retail treasury bonds, the retail treasury bonds is, ito yung difference niya. If after, ang tenor niya, for example, we just go to 1 year tenor. After 6 months, for example, I want to get my funds. I cannot go to the bank and my principal is not secured. If I place 100,000 today, with a commitment to hold them for 1 year, after 6 months, my 100,000 can or cannot be 100,000. Yung in-illustrate ko kanina dun sa slide number 9, when you go to the secondary market, para makuha mo yung investment mo, because it is invested with another company, which is, kunwari yung ito, it's invested with the Bureau of Treasury, para makuha natin yung pera natin with the Bureau of Treasury, we will sell that bonds or that certificate, kung certificate pa. Although ngayon wala nang certificate. We will sell that security. We will sell that security to the market. Depende kung ano yung kalakaran ng interest rate. If the interest rate went up already, your bonds will actually be selling at ano yung rule natin kanina, pag tumaas na yung market, tataas ba yung tumaas na yung market rate, tataas ba yung principal natin? Kikita ba tayo dun sa principal? No. Malulugi yung principal natin. So that's where the capital gains comes in. But if you place now dun sa 2.625 and then bumaba naman yung interest, pwede kang manalo. Pwedeng madagdagan yung principal mo. Pwedeng yung principal mo na 100,000, maging 105,000 siya. So meron siyang component, aside from the fixed income na tinatawag, which is the coupon, meron kang opportunity to make money on capital gains. But, as I've said, it's always risk and return. Kung meron kang opportunity to make money on the principal, you also have the same amount of opportunity to lose money on the principal. Versus dun sa time deposit na protected yung principal.
Okay.
I hope I answered that.
Okay. Thank you. So more what I got from there is that your time deposit is more liquid because you can take it out anytime, although you might be penalized if you take it out before maturity. Whereas the retail treasury, hindi siya pwedeng i-take out.
Pwede siyang i-take out, pwede siyang liquid siya in that sense, but what do you call this? Liquid siya in that sense, but the principal is not guaranteed. That's why I pick the two. So if you're not sure if you're going to use these funds in the next few months or so, you go for the T-bills, because the T-bills is a short-term investment. The treasury bonds is a medium to long-term investment. So if you're going to lock in your money for 5 years, make sure that you're ready to hold those money in 5 years. And in the frame of 5 years, if there is an opportunity for you to make money in terms of capital gains, you take advantage of that. But you come in a retail treasury bonds knowing that your mindset is it will be for 5 years. Kung hindi ka ready to hold until maturity, be ready to take the risk to your principal might be affected in the event that you will be forced to sell. So kung hindi tayo sure, you go to the short term, which is the treasury bills. In the treasury bills, it's the same. The treasury bills is exactly the same, except your interest is being paid in advance. And if the interest rate also goes down, remember, it's selling by discount. If the interest rate goes down, say you place at 5% or you bought at 5% and the interest rate went down to 2%, actually, kikita ka rin sa capital gains.
Yeah.
You can opt to sell. For example, if you remember last year, those of you who are in Singapore, if you attended the financial literacy of BTR last year when they discussed the treasury bills, the treasury bills then was paying at about 5 to 6%. Wow. I bought at that time, and then after a few months, just 3 months, that was a 1 year T-bills. After 3 months, the rate went down to 3%. So you gain a lot of capital gains there. But because the timing was perfect, the Bureau of Treasury was here and they are doing a roadshow for treasury bills. Why are they borrowing short term? Remember, these are borrowings of national government. Why are they borrowing short term? T-bills are short term. So these are only 364 days. Because during that time, around March, the Congress had not passed the budget yet. So they don't have money to spend yet if you don't have the budget. So they can that could be. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but that can be a big reason why they're sourcing for funds outside. That's why right after the passage of the budget from the Congress, the rate went down by about 3%, and it was very, very fast. Now they're doing about 3%. Now, if you also attended the roadshow of BTR for the premium bonds, taas kamay yung may premium bonds dyan, panalong-panalo po kayo sa premium bonds nyo, kasi the premium bonds last year was paying 3%. Remember? But this is a unique roadshow. This is a unique selling because it's locked for 1 year. Remember, wala kang pre-termination. There's no secondary market. You cannot sell it because there's no secondary market. However, no one will want to sell it unless it's really, really, really urgent because the premium bond comes with an opportunity or an opportunity for you to win the raffle wherein you can win 4 pieces of 1 million pesos and house and lot or condominium, parang gano'n. So imagine, nag-place ka lang ng 500 pesos, you have an opportunity to win 1 million pesos. There's so much there's so much return na doon. Pero of course, it's a chance. But the interest rate alone is 3%. Now the interest is 2.625. So that means if you bought last year at 3%, you can actually sell that. But again, the premium bonds cannot be sold on the secondary market. But if you bought a different bonds at that time, you can actually sell it now and you make a capital gains.
Okay. Thank you. So for those interested in the treasury bonds, we still have like the RTB24. It's open until, purchase is open until tomorrow, August 7, 2.625% for 5 years. So yung mga interesado dyan, hanggang bukas may pag-asa pa. So that's about treasury bonds. Hopefully we get a better understanding of what it is and what the risks are involved. Very little risks we understand. So, but if we go to scams, mas malaking risk yun. So may question po, mga scams and mga money lenders sa Singapore, I don't know, in Singapore, are there regulations on money lending? Are there do they have to register? Is there a ceiling on the interest rate? And all that, similar to bank regulations, or maybe a bit loose in terms of?
Definitely they are regulated, but of course the regulation is a lot different compared to banks. That's why you're always safe to go to a bank, because we are regulated, massively regulated by both countries, the Philippines and for us, for example, from the Philippines and the Singapore government. Now, are these money lenders, are they registered? Yes, you can see their license there. But there's always a way for them to do away with all these regulations. One, the regulations set aside a maximum, or there's a ceiling for lending rate. But what they do is they do not lend more than 4 months. You cannot borrow more than 4 months. So in that case, it's a short lending. So you cannot compute you cannot actually compute for a per annum for them. That's why when you go to them and ask them for an effective interest rate, they will not give you an effective interest rate. Because that's a requirement of the regulators. They have to post a per annum effective rate. But they will argue with you, because I tried to go inside this money lending shops, not the one in Lucky Plaza, because they know me or they see me walking the stairs every day. But I used to go at somewhere in Somerset and somewhere in papuntang Bugis. Okay, there are a lot there also. So I pretended to borrow. Pagpasok mo pa lang, they will not entertain you unless you give your IC. There's only one shop that entertained me without me giving my IC, because I don't want to give my IC. My IC will be recorded in a money lending shop. Even if I will tell them I'm doing this for educational purposes, no one will believe me, maybe in the future, that I did it for that. So I don't want to give my IC. There's only one shop that allowed me to come in without an IC. Apparently, the people manning it are new. So when I started asking them, what is your effective interest rate? So they said, there's no effective interest rate. So when I started telling them, the government says that you have to post your effective annual interest rate. So they started calling someone. And then they said, no, we don't have the effective interest rate. And then I asked them, why don't you compute there? What is your effective interest rate? So I asked them to compute, and I helped them to compute. So it's about 75% effective interest rate. So I told them, this is way above the ceiling of the government. So they said, no, we're not lending. So they shoo me away. Even in Facebook, some of the most common one is, even with the live streaming like this, you see some people will be posting, if you want to earn more, you just need to click this and click that, or they will speak to you, PM is the key. I tried to follow them in the private message, and when I started asking some information, maybe they already check who I am, because I'm using my regular account. They will block me all of a sudden. So if they will block me, that means this is something bad.
Okay. Thank you for that. May isang tanong, as a banker, do you have tips on how, I'd like to hear the answer. Do you have tips on how to politely say no sa mga kaibigan, some friends, or people you know na chronic nangungutang, they borrow regularly or often? Typically kasi mahihain ng mga Pinoy na maningil. So usually we hesitate or we shy just to get back our money. But is there any nice or polite way to say no? I don't have money to lend you. May ganun bang style? Or
that's a very good question. I like that. I'm a banker. I don't own the vault of the bank. I don't own the money of the bank. That's for sure. And I don't have as much money as the bank. That's for sure. Now I have a policy. I don't lend my personal money. In the past, I used to, but gaya nyo rin po, sabi nyo nga, mahirap maningil. Meron nga, after I lent to one person, and then it took several years before I was able to recover just some. So from then on, I make it a pledge to myself, I will not lend anymore. So I don't lend on my personal money. I don't lend my personal money. If there is really someone na talagang you need to help, lend the amount that you are actually ready to forgo. Only the amount. It's like if you want to help a friend, just donate some amount. But the moment you lend, do not expect any payment. That should be your attitude. So if that is the attitude, that when you give away this as a form of lending to your friends, okay, you should be ready that this money will not come back. If that is your mindset, then you will only give the amount that you can spare off. Okay. Now, how do I say that politely? Personally, as a banker, one, I should not lend really personally because I work in a bank. It's prohibited. It's against the policy of the bank because they should borrow from the institution. They should not borrow from me. So it might be construed also that I'm undercutting the bank. So definitely it's a no. It's a very good excuse for me. But that's true. I'm not supposed to because I'm part of the bank. But of course, for the friends and family, for example, but how do you say no to a family? Okay? O if I may share with you, yung last na tinulungan ko dito, hindi siya na-scam. Kasi pinatest namin. Hindi siya na-scam ng scammer. Kasi hindi pa niya nabibigay yung PIN. However, when we check the balances is zero. Because after feeling that she was scammed, she called the family back home and checked if the money was there. And then the family back home told her, there's no money anymore. So when I called, it's with the bank. So when we called the bank and asked, I helped them to call the bank and asked the bank, can you tell me what was the form of withdrawal? Was it a physical withdrawal with an ATM card? The bank can tell you that. Was it used in a merchant or na ang tawag doon, POS? Or was it debited no card? Mga ganon. May code yan. So when the bank told us it was a physical withdrawal from an ATM. And they will be able to tell you which ATM. So I asked her, where do you live? So hindi siya na-scam ng scammer, na-scam siya nung kamag-anak. So mag-iingat din po kayo. So do not give your finance or do not let somebody manage your finances, especially your ATMs. Do not leave your ATMs with your kamag-anak. If you want your kamag-anak to have their own ATMs or your relatives to have their own ATMs, the banks can facilitate that. We can facilitate that, or any bank if you go home, or you can ask your relatives to go to the bank and open their own account. But do not open an account here and then send it to a relative so that all your money is inside that ATM and you let your relative manage it. Meron akong isa dito a long time ago. Wala na rin siyang laman. Sabi niya, wala namang nag-withdraw. They did not withdraw anything. Where is the ATM? Was it lost? The ATM was with the son-in-law. It's not even with the daughter. It's with the son-in-law. So, wala na rin pera. Okay? So, meron din pong scam sa kamag-anak. Lalo na pag OFW. Kasi akala nila ang dami nating pera. Okay? So, again, the rule should be just give the amount that you can spare off. Do not expect to be paid na. So parang kung nangungutang siya, wag na kitang pautangin. I'll just help you with some amount. Okay? Don't be too generous. Everyone expect that we have a lot of money. Yes, we have a lot of money, but these are our hard-earned money. Just imagine how much effort, how much time do you put to earn $100? When you give away that $100, you think of yourself, how many materials did I read before they will pay me $100? So when you think along that line, it will be easier for you to say no. There's always a polite way of saying no. Just think of a creative way of saying it. You can make it. I announce it in all my lectures that I don't lend, so that no one will attempt to borrow. So wala po akong ginagawa. The bank lends. If you want to buy your properties, we're lending. If you want to borrow against your deposit, we're lending. The bank is lending. But me as a person, I'm not lending.
Thank you. Thank you. So, di po pwede manghiram ng pera kay Cristy.
Pwede po sa bank.
Magdodonate lang siya. Anyway, may iba pa mga tanong si Johnny. As a question, will we be able to identify these money lenders and check whether they are regulated by MAS? Also, she's asking, would it be possible to identify these regulated money lenders and have comparable rates for our kababayans as well?
Yes, you can easily. As I've said, they are registered. They are licensed, because you cannot operate if you're not licensed. However, the way they operate is they charge you so much. Now, what you can do is, this is always your benchmark. Even if you're doing other investment, this is always your benchmark. Call the bank. You call the bank and ask the bank. Ask the bank how much is the interest of the bank. And you can check, if you call the bank, for example, if you call the bank and you ask me how much is the interest per month, if I say to you 1% and the lender downstairs says 4%, saan ka pupunta? You go to the 1%, di ba? But, I didn't know that I can borrow from the bank. So that's why it's a quick fix. Yes, we can lend. The bank's business is lending and deposit, of course. So you can always check. For example, someone is asking you to make an investment with them, and it will give you a yield of 13%. Okay? You call the bank. You call the bank. Your bank is always your gauge. Call the bank. How much is the interest rate per annum, for example? If the bank, the current interest rate of the bank is less than 1%.
Okay.
So if the bank is paying you less than 1% of deposit interest rate, and someone is offering you 13%, or someone is offering you 20%, that's not true. Definitely there's some hanky-panky there. Okay? Because even if I have $1 billion now, and I will invest my $1 billion, I will not get more than 2% in the current market. Nasa 2.625, di ba? Ano na yon? Borrowing na niya yon, 2.625. So that's the most that I can get in the market, even with $1 billion. Now, someone is giving you an investment opportunity that pays you 15%. If it's too good to be true, it's not true. Maybe the other thing that I can share with you is, you always compare the interest rate of the banks. Even if you don't call the bank, even if you don't call us per se, you can just Google. Okay, may Google na ngayon. You can just Google what are the interest rate of the banks. So you can make a comparison. And then the other thing that I can share with you, the unique thing that I can share with you during this pandemic is, will the interest rate continue to go down? Usually in times of pandemic, the interest rate will go down, will definitely go down for the deposit. Why? Because you're not spending. You're not spending, so chances are, if everyone is not spending, because the shop are closed anyway, if you're not spending, chances are you will put your money in the bank. So if all of you are putting your money in the bank, as again, law of supply and demand, lahat kayo gustong maglagay doon, mapupuno rin yung bank. So ang gagawin ni bank is bababaan niya yung interest. And the other thing is, if the interest rate in the deposit is going down, will the lending rate follows? Ideally, in a normal situation, if the deposit rate is going down, the lending rate should go down. Because the lending rate is just a spread, or is just your deposit interest rate plus tubo. What is tubo? Profit, or we call it spread. So that will be your lending rate. But in this pandemic, this is not an ideal situation, and this is not a normal situation. So what will happen is the interest rate will go down, the deposit rate will go down, but the lending rate will not go down. Why? Because not all banks will want to lend. In the same way that you don't want to spend because you want to preserve your cash, the banks also has limit or ceiling in their capital. So we don't want to lend all our capitalization, because the probability of recovering them is a bit risky. Okay, so if the banks don't want to lend, will they lower the rate or will they increase the rate? Definitely, they will increase the rate.
Okay.
Now, if you expect the rate to go up, what will you do? If you expect the rate to go up, you borrow.
Okay, thank you. Quick question, and a quick answer hopefully. Tama po bang ang kasabihan na walang nakukulong sa utang? No one gets in prison just because you don't pay.
In the Philippines, wala po akong alam na nakukulong sa utang. Pero pwede kang makulong if you issue a post-dated check or an unfunded check. Ano tawag mo doon? It's usually a post-dated check. If you issue an unfunded check, we have estafa. Okay? So yun po is a crime, yung estafa. Issuing an unfunded check. So if they send your check to the bank and it was stamped na unfunded, I think 2 times, you can redeposit eh. So first time that you deposit it without funds, so it will be chopped with unfunded. The second time that it will be chopped unfunded, the holder of the check can now go to the police and sue you. But how long will a estafa crime entails before a decision will arrive in the Philippines? It will also take some resources and time for you. So usually, they ended up forgiving. That's why not many ended up in jail. But if it is estafa, so this is what you can do. If you really want to lend, just because you wanted to lend, even after I told you that if you lend, don't expect to recover it. If you really want to lend, you can request them to issue you a post-dated check. That case, you are covered. However, don't be tricked, because usually these are your friends. So, the first time na na-chop sila, ang gagawin nila is makikiusap sila sa'yo na wag mo na muna siyang ipasok kasi bukas na ako magpopondo, bukas na, next month na lang. Remember, the checks have a validity, 6 months validity. After 6 months, if you did not redeposit it or you did not deposit it at all and hindi siya natatakan sa bangko na unfunded, it is already a stale check. You cannot go to court anymore.
Okay.
But you can validate that with lawyers. But definitely you cannot go to court because it's already a stale check, and you don't have a record that it was unfunded.
Okay.
What you can do is ask the person to reissue you a new check, which is a dated check.
Okay. Thank you. That was a question from Ariel. So, walang makukulong sa utang, pero pwede kang makulong kung yung checking ibibigay mo ay walang pondo or
kung nagpa-issue ka ng check. I remember one time it's like the loan that they were talking of is like 700,000 pesos, Philippine pesos. So, nagdemandahan sila. At the end of the day, because the borrower just said, I don't have any capacity to pay. The judge cannot order you to pay 1,000 a month. If you don't have 1,000 a month, you cannot produce 1,000 a month. They ended up, he will be paying 500 pesos a month because he was unemployed. But in the future, if he may be employed, they can increase that. But the rule was 500 pesos for a 700,000 indebtedness. Kasi the moment na mag-promise ka na mag-pay, there's a promise to pay, and you actually did pay, di ka naman kinukulong.
Okay. Promise to pay, hindi ka makukulong ha. Okay. Anyway.
Okay, to your capacity.
Yes.
Kung 100 pesos ang capacity mo, 100 pesos lang ilalagay sa'yo. So, kaya wag po kayo magpapautang kung hindi po kayo ready na ibigay na yung pera.
Okay, wag magpautang kung walang sobrang pera. Okay. May isang tanong dito, what is your view about multi-level marketing, asking people to recruit and sell products? How will I know if they are legit or a scam?
In Singapore, multi-level marketing is not allowed.
It's illegal.
In Singapore, multi-level marketing is illegal in Singapore. So if you're in Singapore, that's a no. How do I know if it is legit? Meron namang multi-level na, anong tawag mo doon? The moment they ask money from you, even the multi-level marketing, there's a form of quote-unquote na lang yung scam, ha? Because when they recruit, even if they have di ko kasi pwedeng i-name yung product, even if they have a good product, for example, and you get your worth of money for that product, usually when you join, you put something. Kasi that's how they earn. Because a multi-level, the one on top will earn something from the one from the bottom. Okay? Now, if it is a big industry already, a big multi-level, there are successful multi-level, naman talaga. Paano ko ba sasabihin? Hindi ko kasi, para ma-illustrate ko lang, yung madali, Avon, for example. May Avon pa ba? Para hindi tayo masyadong obvious. Okay? So, yung nasa taas, you have to recruit, for example, nung nandito. Before they can join, they need to buy products. So meron ka pa rin pera na ilalabas, but they will give you products. And usually, the amount of money that you will put in at the start is not a small amount, but it's because you get the products anyway. And most of the time, you ended up having all those products and eating them all by yourself. Kung vitamins yan, iinumin mo na lang lahat yung vitamins na yon na worth 500 or I don't know how much. Depende kung ano yun. Kasi kikita lang yung nasa taas when the lower level will start paying. Plus, of course, kung legit yan at may totoong product, you earn from the commission on the products. Okay? Now, if you just want to use the product, what you can do is, if you really want to try, if you really want to check if it is legit, you just buy the product first and then check how long has it been in the market. If it is already good enough and big enough, there's no way for you to make good in a multi-level marketing kasi nasa ibaba ka na. Only the top people will make money in the multi-level marketing up to a certain bracket. Beyond that, we're all paying for the people up.
Yes, I totally agree. In Singapore, it's not legal to do multilateral marketing. Multi-level, sorry, not multilateral, but multi-level marketing is illegal in Singapore. So just take note, please. Quick lang, kasi we don't have much time. 1 minute, a quick answer to question. There's a question here. Terms and conditions ng fixed deposit, pareho ba sa Singapore at Philippine branches ng PNB? Yes, no.
Terms and condition of time deposit, yes. Definitely it's different in Singapore and Philippines. The basic difference is the 20% withholding tax. In the Philippines, all earnings from investment are subject to 20% withholding tax. In Singapore, we don't have that withholding tax. And then dormancy. In the Philippines, dormancy period is 2 years. But some banks have lesser dormancy period. That can vary, could be 1 year. Dormancy means for a period of 1 year, you don't have initiated transaction. That is, you did not make any deposit or withdrawal from the account. So it will be classified as dormant, and then they will start charging start charging a service fee. In Singapore, we don't have dormancy charges. We call them but we can have maintenance charges. for example, the account is not moving for quite a while, they can impose maintenance charges.
Okay. Thank you for that. I think we still have one last question. Yung isang question ni Odette, maybe another time kasi you have to study the Global Achievers Training question. But one last question. Saan po magandang ilagay ang emergency fund? As an OFW, kailangan po bang meron emergency fund dito sa Singapore at meron din sa Philippines?
Emergency fund, as you have said, is emergency fund. It's something na pwede mong kuhanin sa bulsa. Okay? But of course, hindi mo naman ilalagay sa bulsa natin yan. So if it is an emergency fund, you put it in the most easy, accessible form of deposit. The best way there is time deposit. Not 30 days, the shortest, the 30 days time deposit. At least it earns a little interest. Of course, the safest answer is you put it in savings. Kaya lang, especially nowadays, wala po tayong income sa savings. So kung medyo, minsan naman nakikita kong deposit dito, medyo umabot na yung deposit niyo ng 100,000, 200,000, 300 to 500,000, it's already a substantial amount to put it in time deposit. It doesn't make any much difference. Anyway, as I've shared a while ago, you can pre-terminate that. Only the interest will be penalized. The principal will not be penalized. So if it is an emergency fund, especially in this time, or what you can do, what kind of emergency are you preparing? Is it a short-term emergency or is it it's a life emergency? If it is a life emergency, most likely we're looking at a longer time frame. What you can do is you can divide. You can put some in 1 year tenor. You can put some in 2 years tenor. Of course, the 1 year tenor is limited only to the time deposit and treasury bills. Yun lang yung mga madadali. Okay? But if you're looking for emergency funds like baka magkasakit ako this time, definitely it's something that you can get from your pocket. So less than 1 month ka lang doon. Maximum ka na ng 3 months doon.
Okay, thank you so much, Cristy. I think that's the last question we have. That's a lot of information that we of digest and study, and hopefully we learn a lot of things. Mga key takeaways from this, very informative and very informative discussion that we have. First about treasury bills. So please take advantage of the offer na ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas para makatulong sa operation ng gobyerno at mga projects niya. So we have those treasury bills. Tomorrow is the last day. And then, of course, pagdating sa scams, if it is too good to be true, it's not true. Either don't be too generous na pati perang kakailangan ninyo, pinamimigay nyo, wag po niyong gawin yon. Or actually the other side, don't be too greedy. If you think that, wow, I'm winning so much money kahit wala kayong binili, ano pa lang, mag-isip pa tayo ng konti bago maniwala sa mga ganong invitation. So, ingat po sa ganon. Tapos, no computer sharing kasi all your information will be there and that's it. Madaming mawawala po sa inyo. So, ingat po kayo sa kanyan. Confidential information, please keep them. Your IC number, your birth date is also confidential information. Huwag niyo pong ipamigay yan. Pangalan ng parents, families, kung hindi naman importante, I think that's confidential and hindi ko pinamimigay yon unless siguro emergency and something. But just be careful po yung mga information na pinamimigay ninyo sa ibang tao. Kahit kasimple lang ng inyong birthday maybe, birth date, that's confidential. Kahit yung nasa HR sasabihin sa inyo, no, hindi pwedeng pamigay yon. So, madami pong mga confidential information. Ingat po tayo, huwag ipamigay kasi baka gagamitin ng mga scammers. So, yun po. And before that, I like...
Oh, if I just may add, Minnie, I forgot this one. Please, parang awan nyo na po, do not use your birthday as your PIN in your ATM, for God's sake. Your birthday, you put it in your Facebook. Pati yung year, nilagay nyo dun sa Facebook. And everyone can see your birthday there. Okay? We're so happy when everyone is greeting us happy birthday on Facebook because your birthday is there, including the year. So when you put that on Facebook, never ever ever, and even if it is not on Facebook, never ever ever use your birthday as your PIN number in your ATM. Yun po yung giveaway. Parang wag ka nang mag-PIN, parang ang PIN mo is 000. Pag ang PIN mo is birthday.
So, yun po, tandaan ninyo ha, ingat kayo sa mga PIN numbers, make it complicated actually. But I think you know that. So, we'd like to thank to all the participants, mga organizations, Filipino organizations na nag-join dito and spread the news about our webinars. We're having it every first and third Thursday of the month. So tandaan po ninyo yan. I think our friends from FAUS, from CDE, from San Francisco Water District. Wow. Of course, from the UP Alumni Group, from Filipinos in Singapore Group, ASCII Global. Ting madami pong hindi naglagay ng groups nila, pero madami. Sa susunod po ilagay ng groups ninyo so we can call out and at least say hi, hello, thank you so much for joining us. And before we end this, we'd like to also invite you for the next webinar. Do we have a slide for the next webinar? Ayan. Thank you all very much for joining us in this webinar. And hopefully we learn a lot of things. We learn what to be careful of. Details. So ingat po kayo. Please like our Facebook. Ayan. Sana po you will support us by liking our Facebook. And also, as we are a non-profit organization, wala po kaming mga, siyempre, we need any form of donation, any amount, please go to giving.sg/PBSS. So you can donate your, well, we accept any offering and any donation. So please help us by giving us some donations. And also, you can also have Pay Now. You can use the UEN of Bayanihan, Singapore. So we've got a UEN. So yes, the next webinar is on August 20, 2020. Nice number. August 20, 2020. That's a Thursday, 2 weeks from now. And it's about cybersecurity, which will be some SVP from the Philippine National Bank in the head office in the Philippines. So that will indeed be very, very interesting. Please don't miss that again 2 weeks from now. And please join us 2 weeks. And I think if anyone else wants to say thank you from the team, thank you so much for the hardworking team as well. Our thank you to our to the presence of the people from our embassy headed by Ambassador Yap, and also of course the other members of the embassy. Also we have Attorney Ranveer, the president of our Bayanihan Society. Cristy, of course, she's the vice president of the society. We've got Ed, who's behind the scene. He's our assistant treasurer. And then, of course, we've got our two beautiful ladies, Melinda, Mindy, and Cecile, who are always working hard behind the scene. And also everyone else who has given us any support, any help, any advice, or anything, just let us know. So I think that's it, unless anyone else wants to say anything from our Zoom team members. Wala na po. Anyway, please don't forget, we are celebrating August 9, Singapore National Independence, National Day pala. And yes, hopefully everyone will be enjoying a long weekend. So thank you and good night. That's it. Bye.